And you're week with us on the Just Baseball Show. Michael Busch got a new home. He is free. Yancy Almonte, also a Chicago Cub. Busch and Almonte to the Cubs for Jackson Ferris and Zaire Hope. We're going to talk about that. Also going to play GM for the state of Ohio, the Cleveland Guardians and the Cincinnati Reds. One way more fun than the other. And in recent years, I think you would expect that Cleveland be more fun than Cincinnati, but that's not the case anymore. Peter's got something off the top. I've got two quick shout outs. But as always, we are brought to you by the fine folks at
BetMGM, the king of sports books. Come on. If you listen to the ad at the beginning, you know that we have a promo with BetMGM. And it goes like this. Download the BetMGM sports app using code JustBaseball or code JustGridiron. Probably just baseball. You're listening here to the Just Baseball Show. Number 2, I want you to bet $5, a simple Abraham Lincoln, on any bet with standard odds. Once that bet is finalized, regardless of winning or losing, you get back $158 instantly in bonus bets. Why are they doing that? Super Bowl 58. Let's get $158 in the account for simply making a $5 wager on minus 110 odds, right? Don't bet 10, don't bet 20. Throw a Lincoln down and you will get $158. Jack, why wouldn't you?
Dude, I mean, that might be the heist of the century. Are you kidding me?
I mean, it's awesome. It's
They're doing
150.
it.
I've never seen a promo like this where it's just $5, then you get 158.
No, it's like, okay, yeah, they're doing it for the Super Bowl, but they're also apparently doing it because they're sick and they want to give out money, which is fascinating to me.
You think they're called the king of sportsbooks for no reason?
I don't know, man. I see you on the posters. I see Jamie Foxx. I know they got KG involved.
It's
You and
Jamie.
Kevin Garnett are pretty similar.
I agree. It's
You got the
for the folks watching on YouTube. I got the Zoom updates. We got all this going on. So yeah, on the Mount Rushmore Bet MGM, it's me, Jamie Foxx, Kevin Garnett, and the Lion.
Yeah,
You
you
know
might
the
be the
Lion?
Lion. Yeah, I
Might
know
be
the
the
Lion.
Lion.
Yeah, MGM had the Lion first. Metro Goldwyn Mayer, hence Bet MGM. All that makes sense, right? Couple of shout outs for me, but before that, you want to do a certain ranking?
Yes. So on the last show, I talked with Arm about a New Year's resolution. I'm giving up dairy, Jack. I'm
Yeah,
giving it up, and I've already
makes a
gotten a
lot of
couple.
people. It makes a lot of people feel like ass.
It does. And what's great is I told the listeners of the Just Baseball Show to DM me if they're interested in doing this kind of dairy-free 2024. 17 DMs about it. I
Wow.
was fired up. I'm getting a bunch of people be like, you know what? I don't really like this shit either. I got so many messages. So I'm trying to figure out something. Maybe a support group. I don't know. But another New Year's resolution. I've always been into hats. I don't know if you guys noticed. For the people watching on YouTube, check out the new Yankee hat. I mean, that is sick. I mean, that's a sick Yankee hat. So I'm going to really start collecting hats. And I need to get one for every team. Now, I have some, but they're very like the classic ones, right? I want to start collecting awesome hats. So I want you to rank these 3. And in our YouTube comments, leave them ranking these 3 hats. 3 different teams. Don't just go with your favorite team. It's about the look of the hat.
Yeah, so this one, like, I'm going to do my best, like, radio play-by-play impression here. He's got the classic Yankee logo on the left side of his hat, and then he's got the word Yankees spelling along the side of the hat that he's wearing right now. The other hat that he's showing us is like a gray or maybe light teal, dull teal Seattle Mariners All-Star Game specific hat.
Yep.
So it's the classic Mariners logo with the star on the northwest end of the S, and then you've got the All-Star Game logo on the right side. And then the other one, white hat, black brim, the Philly Fanatic on a scooter or on like an ATV type thing, waving to you. The Philly Fanatic hat is number 1. I think the unique Yankee hat is number 2, and the All-Star Game specialty hat is number 3.
I think I agree with you. I'm a little bit biased Yankee fan. I like this Yankee hat a little bit more, but this is the coolest hat I've made.
Nothing's beating the Philly Fanatic. Yeah.
I don't think so. Number 1 mascot in baseball, number 1 hat in Major League Baseball. But I'm going to keep y'all updated if you even care about my hat collection because it's going to get awesome.
Yeah, real quick, you reminded me, might as well share my New Year's resolution too. Get up on my first alarm. At the
Ooh.
end of 2023, I was having some issues. I was like, yeah, I'll hit snooze, and then I'll hit snooze. And then the third time, I'm like, all right, damn it, time to exist. Ugh. Now I'm like, all right, I want my feet to hit the floor. I want to get up and have to go somewhere to turn the alarm off. And at that point, I might as well just start my day. So, first alarm is me.
I think that's a great one. The only reason why that never applies to me is I am a coffee addict.
Me too.
Addict. So I love getting up in the morning and going straight for a cup of coffee. Like I'm like excited to get up in the morning
Yeah.
to feel that morning coffee. It's one of the best parts of my day. So I've never really had a problem with that since I started drinking coffee because again, I don't enjoy coffee. I am an addict.
Got you.
And the first part of admitting is admitting. I don't know what
Yeah.
is that true?
I think so.
The
I
first
don't know if you're
part,
going to find that in textbooks, but yeah, sure.
that's the Peter Apple way.
Got you. All right. We've spent a long time not talking about baseball, but real quick, two shout outs, one baseball related, one non-baseball related. My friend Drew was in town from Boston, and he introduced me to this woman, Dot, who has the pretzels. Have you had Dot's pretzels? Those things are amazing. The
Vaguely
original,
familiar.
like, so they look like this. I was just snacking on them before we got on. They have,
Yes.
yeah, dude,
Those
these
are
things are
great.
amazing.
Have you ever had
I
those Snyder's pretzels, like honey
Yes,
mustard or
yes,
buffalo flavored?
great.
Have you ever looked into the nutrition facts on those?
No, is it like xanthan gum and all that stuff?
No, it's not that. The amount of fat and salt in these like honey mustard
Oh, I'm
pretzels,
sure.
it's like eating an entire pizza.
I'm sure. Yeah, but they're
But
delicious.
I
So.
hate it because it's the greatest tasting snack possibly in the world. Number two to Chex Mix, the ultimate best snack that's ever been.
Right. But thank you to Drew for pointing me in the direction of dots. Now it's all I want to eat ever for the rest of my life. Number two, my friend Anna, who is the baseball communications manager with the Indianapolis Indians, made me this for Christmas. It is Barry
Whoa.
Bonds. Yep. It's a freeze frame. The YouTube folk can see it. It's Barry Bonds. It's that iconic two fingers up in the air after he hits Homer 756.
Wow.
It's the first call in the Just Baseball show intro. And I told her, and she oversees like all the broadcast stuff. Like she'll listen to every fucking broadcast. I don't know how she does that, but she was like, "What's your favorite call of all time?" And I was like, "It's Dwayne Kuiper's call of Barry Bonds' 756th home run," and it is outlined with the words of Dwayne Kuiper's call.
That is
That's how it's created.
that's an unbelievable gift.
And she was like, it only took me like 2, 3 hours. I was like, oh my God, like, how about that creativity there? So I thought that was an amazing gift. It's going up right above Kyle Taylor's Mark Burley portrait. So loved it.
Absolutely amazing. What a gift. I mean,
I
so
know.
thoughtful and nice. My favorite call. Do you know my favorite call?
Yeah, Joe Buck, we'll see you tomorrow night. They're both in the Just Baseball intro.
We will see you tomorrow night.
You, you do
Chills.
you know that's a play on his dad, right?
Yeah,
His
his
dad,
dad,
Jack
Jack
Buck.
Buck. Yeah.
And he tried to do it in the same
Yep.
cadence. And I think that backstory is so cool.
So cool.
Michael Busch, 25 years old. I saw Foolish Baseball, our guy, put together a hilarious video. The top 10 prospects that are older than Juan Soto. And the number one prospect older than Juan Soto is Michael Busch of the LA Dodgers. But now it's Michael Busch of the Chicago Cubs. It was Busch and Yency Almonte, who signed a minor league free agent deal with the Dodgers a couple years ago after sucking with the Rockies, totally revitalized his career. And now Almonte goes as a quasi setup guy for the Cubs ahead of Adbert Alzolay, and Busch goes likely as the everyday third baseman. In return, the Dodgers get Jackson Ferris and Zaire Hope. Arum's got a full write-up that I'm linking in the episode description in the Cubs top prospect list, but he's just baseball's number 10 Cubs prospect before the trade. Lefty can run it up to 97. Gross slider. He was a high school draftee in 22. Zaire Hope, 11th round pick in 2023, was paid more like a 5th round pick, 400 grand to him. High school guy, tools out the ass. Bunch of homers, bunch of stolen bases, and not a bunch of games at the complex. Your overall takeaway from the Cubs' perspective first, getting Busch and Yency.
From the Cubs' perspective, it does feel like they bought decently low on Michael Busch because the Dodgers had to clear from their 40 man. So you were getting a guy who was floated in Dylan Cease talks, right? I'm sure he was floated in the Tyler Glasnow talks. Minor league hitter of the year, Michael Busch, can play multiple positions. For the Cubs, just on the surface, it felt like a better deal for them. But when it feels like a much better deal for the Cubs, and you have the Dodgers involved, I'm sorry, people listening. I'm sorry, Cubs fans. But I think we're all thinking the same thing. What does Andrew Friedman know? And that's why you have to go read Arum's write-ups about these Cubs prospects, which I did. And I came away thinking they found two guys that they really like, because why would they give up Michael Busch in a deal like this? Why wouldn't they trade Michael Busch for a Corbin Burns? Why wouldn't they include Michael Busch in these big-time deals? Minor league hitter of the year. But they got two prospects for him. And I read about these two prospects, Jack, and I'm sure you know them probably pretty well. They have upside. And I'm a little bit scared.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit scared for the Cubs because you may be looking back at a couple of years and being shit. I think we're all kind of thinking it. But right now, I love the Cubs' return. Right now, I do, but I'm scared.
Yeah, they've obviously got a ton of upside, and I would love to tinfoil hat my way into thinking that the Dodgers, like, we're going to be looking at this as one of the more lopsided trades ever, and like, hey, Fernando Tatis was a White Sox, and then it was James Shields. It's not that.
I know. I'm telling you, though, it's just when the Dodgers are in this kind of mode,
Yeah,
spending
for sure.
hundreds of trillions of dollars and signing a bunch of guys, my brain immediately goes tinfoil, and I can't help it.
Yeah, no, I understand. I've got a person that I go to for that once a week if you want help. But my immediate takeaway, are you good? Is that a Stanley Cup that you were using?
Just choked on the water.
My immediate takeaway from this deal was I cannot believe that in some form or fashion, Michael Busch was a 40-man victim.
Yeah.
Like, how is this guy a 40-man crunch guy? I'll read you the numbers in a moment. I will say Busch likely slots in as the third baseman, and I don't think that's a problem that the Cubs are now out of the Matt Chapman sweepstakes. The more this goes on, the more I'm thinking I wouldn't pay Matt Chapman. Versus at the beginning of the year, I was like, I definitely would pay Matt Chapman 9 figures. Now I'm like, 9 figures for that guy? Like, he strikes out a lot. The power's dissipating. I just don't know. And is he the platinum glover he once was? I don't think so. There are too many questions for me to commit $100 million. Now you get a guy with 6 years of control, 3 of which pre-arb, and you can run with him as your opening day third baseman now instead of a P-Wiz or instead of a Morel, who's just airmail city over there, apparently. But Busch, in the minor leagues, this past year, 98 games, he slashed 323, 431, 618. That's a 1049 OPS with 27 homers and 90 driven in 98 games.
Yep.
Year before that, between AA and AAA, 38 doubles, 32 homers, 108 driven in 881 OPS. Hitter-friendly environment, you can hitter-friendly environment me all you want. This guy fucking mashes. And there's a reason he was so sought after out of Carolina. He's really good. He's going to hit. He can play a couple positions. Can he play them well? TBD. As of right now, not necessarily. He's an okay third baseman. He's an okay to slightly below average second baseman. It's kind of like Julien with the ability to play third. That's how I would view Michael Busch. But I would take an average third baseman when you have the best middle infield in baseball in Dansby and Nico Horner.
I'm going to present you with my issue, and then I'm going to present you with some optimism.
Okay.
Why was he a 40-man crunch? Well, the answer could be that he did mash in the minor leagues, but there was a reason he is on Foolish Baseball's top prospects older than Juan Soto. In his age 25 season, he played 27 games, slashed 167, 247, 292. And what do we know about the Dodgers? They're always going to put you in positions to succeed, right? They have like 9 different platoon guys. And they gave him a shot, Jack, and he hit below the Mendoza line.
Yeah.
And then they were willing to trade him for 2 prospects. But, form of optimism, this same Dodgers team gave up on Cody Bellinger. And what did he do for the Chicago Cubs? And another team, really, really smart, 40-man crunch. Joe Ryan was traded for Nelson Cruz, right? So while I could put the tinfoil hat on, and while I always tend to do so, especially with a team like the Dodgers, that these prospects are probably going to be amazing, there is a chance here that they just gave up a pretty good third baseman who could play second, who could play the corners, and a reliever for two prospects who never make it, right? We can talk about upside all we want. This
Right.
could end up being a slam dunk for the Cubs. And if I'm a Cubs fan right now, I can't worry about what the prospects are going to be, right? Because they are far off, right? We're talking about Zaire Hope, who's 18, 19. Like, he might be good one day, but you're trying to win now, and I would rather have Michael Busch on my team with 6 years of control than give Matt Chapman $150 million.
So I agree. Ferris is the one that I think hurts more for Cubs fans because they had a chance to digest the idea that he had number two upside. And they saw success in low A. And listen, man, like there's something to be said about that. And he certainly does have number two upside. So if you get, a future number two starter in Ferris and Busch is good, not great, if he turns into Jonathan India, like are the Dodgers winning? Probably. But I think the Cubs are okay taking that chance because they went through such a quick retool.
And you might lose the trade in 3 years, but I think right now they definitely won the trade. Like, the Cubs are better off than they were.
Yeah. For me, it's so apples to oranges that it's hard to say who won, who
Yeah,
lost.
it's almost impossible. What
It's
we can do
impossible.
is evaluate the players in the deal and kind of see what happens, right? And that's why I
Yeah.
kind of love trades like these, right? It's so up in the air. So if you see other publications, I give this trade a B for the Cubs, and I give it a D for the Dodgers. Shut the hell up and get off that page because nobody knows what these guys are going to be.
With that
My
being said, B plus for the Cubs.
That being said, A plus. But right now, if I'm a Cubs fan, I feel good. And if
Yeah.
I'm a Dodgers fan, I also feel good.
Yes, I agree. I think it's sad, like giving away Bush, but
Where was he going to play?
that's the thing. And to
Yeah.
tie a bow on this, I don't view these guys as the same cat. I don't know if many view him as the same cat, but maybe the Dodgers were looking at each of them situationally in 2024 as doing similar things for them and kind of being the same guy. But you mentioned Bush's major league struggles. Miguel Vargas is another guy that has really struggled at the major league level, but Vargas has way more defensive versatility. He's a super patient hitter, and they think the bat is close to Michael Busch. Maybe not as much juice, but more patience, yada, yada, yada. When it all sums up into a value perspective, they probably look at Miguel Vargas as a guy that can play third base, second base, maybe a corner outfield spot that's going to produce a 115 WRC plus. And they look at Michael Busch and it's like, okay, a guy that can kind of play third, kind of play second, that's going to produce a 115 WRC plus. And they might have just chosen Vargas.
Or the Cubs chose Bush. I
Maybe.
wonder if both of them were floated. I agree with you. I think that is the case. I'm just trying to provide the other side where there is a chance the Dodgers said you can have Vargas or you can have Bush, and the Cubs chose Bush. I think the Dodgers chose to give them Bush instead,
Yes.
but I wouldn't be shocked to hear that in a couple of months saying we chose Bush instead. And I wouldn't be shocked to hear that in a couple of months.
Yeah. So Michael Busch born November 9th, 97. He just turned 26. He's 26 and 63 days old. Miguel Vargas is 24 and 55 days old. So he's more than 2 years younger than Busch. And I think the Dodgers may value that. So that's my ending thought. Having said that, we're going to do the Cubs GM episode like literally next week. It's coming right around the bend. We're working in reverse alphabetical order if you haven't been able to tell right now. But I don't know, man. I think the Cubs are in a really solid position now and not having to fork over money that, frankly, they were going to be reluctant to.
But I would still like them to add another pitcher after adding Shota.
Sure, and maybe a first baseman. Do you want to roll with Mervis? Do you go get a Rhys Hoskins? Rhys Hoskins has been a name that has been floated constantly by people tying those two together.
As he should. I mean,
as
it's
he
like Rhys
should.
Hoskins died. I mean, what are we talking about here? He gets a knee injury and now he's terrible now. I mean, this guy hits 30 bombs.
He does hit 30 bombs. And if the Cubs had 30 bombs to that, and they added maybe 20 bombs from Busch, look
Maybe
at
20
guess.
bombs. We hope. We hope.
I mean, shit, dude. Like he hit near 30 in AAA. So
It
you
should
hope
translate,
20.
shouldn't it?
Yeah, hope so.
Yeah, let's hope.
We're going to do the Cleveland Guardians GM episode in a moment. Before we hit you with the Guardians GM episode, contract details for Shota Imanaga are official. Way cheaper than I was expecting. It was 4 years, $53 million for Imanaga, which is shy of 15 million AAV. Apparently, he was offered double that from another club, but he chose Chicago at half the price, which was interesting. I'll find the exact name of the person that reported that, but 4 for 53. My thought was, I thought he was getting nine figures.
I didn't think he was going to get nine figures. The guy is 30 years old, right? Fly ball issues. But Arm wrote a great piece on justbaseball.com detailing his pitch mix. And something that I didn't know until I read that article, he led the MPB in strikeouts last year in 16 fewer innings than Yoshinobu Yamamoto, which is interesting. He definitely has strikeout stuff. That is going to translate. He's got multiple variations of a slider. He's gotten the patented NPB splitter. He's got a fastball that's anywhere from 90 to 93 with that induced vertical break. It gets that similar rise to pitchers like Nestor Cortez Jr. and Christian Javier. But he is 30, right? And while he does rack up the strikeouts, the ERA is below 3 in the last 3 seasons in the MPB, but it's not this dominant force that Yamamoto is. And when you consider that Kodai Senga, the year before, got $75 million. Correct me if I'm wrong. Senga was the better prospect when he came over. I was thinking that Imanaga would get something similar to Senga just because the market is evolving every year. And, you know, next year, probably someone's going to be a free agent and get 600 million because that's just how it works. But I was expecting around this. But to your point, 53 seems a little cheap, but there are escalators.
There are escalators. I was expecting 5 for 75, which is the deal that Senga got to be the floor. And John Heyman kind of approves on that thinking. He was the one that mentioned that there was a team that was willing to more than double the offer that Imanaga had from the Cubs.
Why wouldn't he go there then? I mean, what?
Because maybe he really wanted to go to Chicago, and there were guys that, you know, were preaching that to him. And maybe he really wanted to be teammates with Seiya Suzuki, who's a fellow countryman, and maybe Koji Uehara. Uehara has sneakily been an ambassador for Chicago and for Boston. And maybe he and Imanaga are tight. I have no idea the reasoning. The Cubs are also an international brand. You know, maybe it was a mid-market team that really doesn't have much international recognition that was like, we'll give you 100, but he heard 53 from the Cubs and he was like, I want to be there.
Hey, good for him. If that's the case, it's hard for me to believe that. I mean, you're turning
Me
down
too. I wouldn't turn down $50 million.
53 versus 100. I'll go play for the A's. I mean, what are we talking about here? Like, I would get if 10 million less, right? Teoscar Hernandez signs a 1-year, $23.5 million deal with the Dodgers instead of signing about 2 years, 28 with the Red Sox. I get that. Double? No, I'd play for anybody. I'd play for anybody.
I think I'd play for anybody too.
But hey, if you're a Cubs fan hearing that, you got to be fired up.
Fired up. Arm brought this up when we were talking about Imanaga's, you know, landing spots a couple weeks ago. I said, I think Imanaga is a good fit with the Cubs. And he said, aren't you worried about him and Steele being very similar? Like they're kind of the same guy where they've got, you know, crazy good ride on the fastball. And, you know, like it's a 2-pitch mix, 3-pitch mix that gets it done. And my rebuttal was, not necessarily because Steele was so good last year. Like if you can just replicate Steele, then do it. But if Steele showed, you know, massive blowups like a Bryce Miller or like a Joe Ryan, even when it comes to hoppy fastballs, I would then be a little worried about Imanaga. But I mean, it seems like Imanaga has a ton of success being fastball dominant at the top of the zone. Am I worried about the windy days at Wrigley? Absolutely. I'm terrified. But I kind of worry about those with Steele, too.
You kind of worry about him with everybody because anyone hits the ball in the air, it's going to go 400 feet anyway, regardless of
Right.
how good of a pitcher you are. And while if I'm forming a rotation, I want a bunch of different looks. Right, in a 3-game series, I got a righty throwing 99, I got a lefty from an angle throwing 92, and then I have another lefty throwing 97, or I have a righty who, has the 2C mix. That's
And
what
you
you
get two of the
want.
same look. Right.
Exactly. That's what you'd want, but we're also being a kind of greedy here, right? The Astros, when they had Verlander and Garrett Cole, do you think they were worried about giving guys a different look? No, it's just great pitching. And I think that's what the Cubs get. So while it is similar, if they both pitch well, they both pitch well.
Right.
Right. And maybe Imanaga suffers a little bit because the day after Steele goes, he goes. Maybe it's in the Cubs' best interest to put Tyone in there in this 2-hole. I mean, good luck with that. And that's why I think we need to talk about them adding a second starter. But this is not the Chicago Cubs GM episode. This is the Guardians and this is the Reds. But I am excited to watch him pitch because we did see him in the WBC mowing down some of the best players in the entire world. He has a great track record. I think he comes over and is instantly in that like solid 3, great 4 range. A guy who you can throw on the mound in a postseason game and you got a chance to win. That's how I evaluate him.
Wholeheartedly agree. The projected opening day rotation for the Cubs right now is Steele, Imanaga, Tyone, Kyle Hendricks, Jordan Wicks. That's not good enough for what they want to do this year.
Hey, shout out Jed Hoyer. He woke up. He's awakened.
Go get Hoskins.
Go get anybody. That was his first signing. I mean, are you kidding me? Jed Hoyer.
It was the holidays. Give him a break, man.
No, I mean the holidays. Fuck the holidays. Make some moves. Bring back. They should just run it back with Belly and Stroman. Like you go Steele, Stroman, Imanaga, Tyone, and then Hicks or Hendricks. Now that's a rotation. And put Belly back in center.
I thought your Yanks were going to get Marcus Stroman.
I don't understand that rumor. I mean, I thought we hated him. Like 2019, Brian Cashman comes out and says, yeah, we didn't really want Stroman. We think he'd be better in the bullpen. I already went over these quotes. So fans of the Just Baseball show know this. And then Stroman just trashed the Yankees. He was like, all of you suck except Garrett Cole. And now we're talking about the Yankees signing. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. If he signs here, cool. I mean, I know he's a good pitcher, but I think it's weird. We'll see.